Okay, the time is 6:32, so we'll start this. Let me get situated here. I've called it to order, so we're just 2 minutes late. For the work session of the mayor and council for the city of Snellville for Monday, January the 28th, 2019. So first we'll go through the regular business meeting, see if anybody has any questions or concerns. We have pastors from First Baptist Church for the invocation. We don't have somebody scheduled for the pledge. Any of our audience want to stand up and do the pledge? Kurt Schultz will.
You can read.
We'll see if Erica can put it up on the phone.
A willing volunteer.
Put it on the marquee.
Okay, then we have recognition for St. Oliver's, minutes, a couple of department reports. Under new business, we have the resolution to change the polling place. I don't know if y'all remember, but we had changed the polling place when we thought there was going to be construction here to the senior center, so we're just changing that back. And that'll be effective for the January meeting. Then we have the referendum for the Sunday brunch bill. Now there is a correction on the copy that you all got in the packet has some verbiage that wasn't right in one of the paragraphs.
Yeah, it's really confusing when you read it. I think the resolution itself, one of them was just, it went round and round and round, and I know what they're saying. It was just very cumbersome wording.
The ordinance is what's cumbersome, and unfortunately, it was right.
Yeah.
It's the resolution sort of had a copy over that wasn't correct. So I think Melissa's gotten it fixed. So.
Is that correct and up to date?
And it goes from 11 to 12:30 is really, and that's all you're doing. You're only changing those hours.
You're moving it back to 11.
But when you look at the ordinance, it's the exclusion of the time that you're closed is what it's trying to portray, and so it gets very confusing when you're doing the off hours.
So we have that resolution. Anybody questions or concerns? And this was something that was going to be on the November ballot. A lot of cities have already done the referendums, done special elections for it. We were just waiting till our next election, which is the March 19th election. Then we have the DDA intergovernmental agreement for the purchase of property, and then the resolution to for issuing the bonds to purchase that property. Right.
And in that document, it said we put a maximum of 5 million. Actually, with an all-in expenses and everything, it'll be slightly over 4 million. So.
But we were advised by Blake during our session at the retreat to put in 5 million, a large number for the debt service annually, just so that we don't have to bump up against those when we actually, so we don't think it'll get anywhere near any of those numbers.
Okay. So does anybody have any questions, concerns, comments? Any of that? Okay. Then we'll move into the work session agenda. Any correspondence?
No, ma'am.
City attorney's report?
Just an executive session.
Okay, under discussion items, first we have the renovation project for City Hall storage room upstairs.
We have a guest here, our architect, Paul Hoover, who has done a lot of work on this proposal. And I'm just going to turn it over to you, Paul. I'll let you sit right here.
Thank you.
And I will get out of the way too.
Eric wanted for me to come and just kind of give you an update of where we were with things. We were contracted to build out a portion of the unfinished second floor. Unfinished area, and to produce construction documents, to do permitting, in order to get a permit, and then provide some bid documents to be able to bid the project out. And we have gotten approval from the Gwinnett Fire Marshal, and we've submitted the plans to the city for internal review, so we're really ready to get this one on the street. So what I want to show you, and I'm going to blow through this pretty quick, but give you an overview: site access restriction, the floor plan, the interior cabinetry, the schedule, and the opinion of probable cost. We knew it was going to be important to limit, because you're living here, you're working here, you're operating this facility, so we wanted to try to keep them out of your way. So we localized up here in the top part of the page where they could do their parking and staging. Their construction trucks would be parked further away from the building, give your public and staff a chance to park closer. And then on this side of the building, this stairwell would be their primary access. We're not giving them access to the atrium, to the main monumental stair or the elevator, because during construction things get beat up and you don't want your space to be beat up. Overall, this is the main level plan. We're told that there were several windows that have gotten some water damage. The wood is starting to deteriorate, and wanted to replace those. So we did overall plans, and it's really hard to see at this scale, but we've indicated those locations. I believe we have 14 windows. I can't remember the number. But part of this package is to replace damaged windows that need to be replaced. Again, we're limiting the access to this main stairwell, the renovated space. You still have unfinished area on the second floor. I think some of the staff was concerned that that's kind of the storage area that would maybe be lost, but we're not taking over or renovating that full space.
It's packed storage right now. Full storage.
So this is the area that we're talking about of the renovation, and you can see in front of it. This is the lobby space with the grand stair. These are existing stairs, or existing doors coming into the reception space. There's 2 classrooms that have a divider wall, an operable wall, that they can break down into make a larger class or have 2 separate classes. And then we have some open offices, conference area, and then some workstation areas out in the center. The city does some video and webcast type things, so this room is designated for that. It's set up with special lighting controls in there, so they can do the lighting control they need for the access to the individual. Storage closet, and then some cabinetry with a sink, ice maker, and refrigerator. So that's really the basic scope that we have for that project. Wanted to show you the cabinetry. There's a good bit of cabinetry that's going in for that level, and these cabinets are a little higher here to allow for any kind of, if you did a coffee maker or any kind of equipment, microwave, it'll give you enough space and flexibility in the future. Project schedule, we're hoping that we're on the completion of getting the permit approved. If we have permit comments, we think we can refine those and address those with the drawings while we're bidding. We are prepared to bid the project today. We just wanted to coordinate that with you. We'll fine-tune these dates as we move forward. Notice to proceed could be as early as March 14th, begin construction the 21st. Substantial completion based on the scope that we believe. Time frame would be July 19th for substantial completion. You could occupy it at that time. We typically don't recommend occupying that early. Let the contractor finish up his punch list, get done, buttoned up, and he can leave, and then you can occupy the facility. The opinion of probable cost, based on our experience with doing interior renovations, we are replacing windows. It's not really an interior renovation, so that's an extra scope. And then the operable wall, we're having to do some structural strengthening for that to support that particular piece of the construction. And right now, with the construction industry, the contractors are overwhelmed. I'm kind of concerned that we're going to get interest because it is such a small project. We may have to invite some contractors and say, we know you're capable of doing this work. Would you come bid this project? But we would advertise, make sure that we meet the public bid requirements. And we believe the cost is going to be between $85 and $95 a square foot. Right now, that's our opinion of that. When we bid the job, we'll know the exact cost of it, but the construction industry, the market, is really hard to predict. We do our best guess. Right now, there's pockets of busyness. A lot of new construction's not starting right now because it's not the optimal time to do it in the wintertime, so you may take advantage of that and get started before new construction starts. Really, that's the end of my presentation. Do you have any questions?
Can I ask you a question about those windows?
Yes, sir.
Do you have an estimate, a per window estimate for that replacement? What part of that cost is in those windows?
I don't have a real good gauge. The windows aren't all the same size. Some of the window units are 3 units. Some are just single units, so they're going to vary per window unit itself. What I don't have a good gauge on is the labor costs of removal. We're going to be doing it in the wintertime, so if it's in somebody's office, we're going to have to make accommodations to do the work in there. So I really don't have a good gauge. I would recommend, because it would be fairly easy to do this, do it as an alternate, an add alternate to the bid. You'll find out the separated cost for that. Maybe even for the operable wall. It's an expensive component of your build out. I know it's required, it's a requirement of it, but if cost is a concern, I think you put some alternates in the bid to give you somewhere to add if you come in under budget, and give you somewhere to cut if you're over budget for your expenditures.
Because we have 2 pots. We have a small pot of money in capital improvements for the windows. And then we have, obviously this would be SPLOST funding for the other construction. So it just, that number scared me a little bit. I just don't know how it's broken down.
Sure.
And,
yeah, when we gave the proposal, we didn't include any professional cost estimating for that.
Sure, that's right.
If it was a really big job, we may do that effort, but you would spend $2,000 or $3,000 doing a professional estimate.
To do that.
And if you got 2 different pots of money, Butch, it may be better to do an add alternate on you.
Yeah, I think it would. I definitely would recommend that.
Okay.
Any other
Thank you.
questions for? Well,
Thank you very much.
thank you.
These improvements will be there after the garage works folks and everybody leaves. It'll be there for City Hall usage too. So there's a lot of utility to what's being done here.
City Hall, and we could also rent it out like we do the community room.
Yeah. Because it's very flexible. It will be flexible space. Paul, Bill, thank you.
Didn't even see you over there, Bill. Good to see you. Okay. Next, we have billboards.
I prepared a draft, and this is preliminary draft. This has not been sent to Clear Channel yet, but this kind of sets out what we are wanting Clear Channel to do. This is about changing the billboards. They're going to take down the 2 and then refurb the 2 to the electronic system. Just right now, we just wanted you to look at this, but I will point out just a couple areas on page 2. Actually, sorry. Page 4 is where I would direct your attention to. Under 2.5, operation of electronic message boards. This sets out what we're going to expect of the digital boards. First and foremost, they have to meet all of the ordinances that we already have relating to electronic message boards. We probably need to revisit our ordinances as far as the foot candles or lumens that we're going to want to standardize, how bright they are, how often we're going to allow them to flash. Those are things that we probably want to have in our ordinance. But we have particularly though in the message, or in the agreement here, is the advertising they're going to provide to us. And what we've set out at a bare minimum they have to give us at least 4 times a year, 2 week straight periods of our own advertising. So if we want to do farmers market, if we want to do 4th of July, Snellville days, but then also we've added in there that during periods where they have vacancies, that they'll provide us as well with times and slots in their vacant slots. Then also, if you go to the back to Exhibit A, is the kind of project description and scope of our projects, and that sets out each of the billboards and the supports, and that's all defined in the definitions that they're going to remove. Now, Barbara pointed out to me, really, we need a 5th one, and this was just a misunderstanding, I guess, that I had. I knew we were going to be refurbishing and repainting the one billboard that they're not taking down and changing, which is the one by the old east side, the Fountain Drive east side hospital campus down there. But Barbara's recollection, and I think it's good that we'll just put it in there, and was that they would repaint all of the Clear Channel signs, not just the ones they're changing. Tony's shaking his head yes. So we're going to add that as a 5th thing, that all Clear Channel signs would be repainted. The post and support structures refurbished. But if you all have something else that you think we've forgotten, just shoot me an email and let me know. And then, again, this has not gone to Clear Channel yet, so they will have to obviously agree to all of our terms. But we've talked in principle about these so far. I think we're going to be in good shape with all this. But again, the bottom line is the sign that is next to the current Snellville Gateway, that big billboard would come down. The one by Mellow Mushroom that's owned by Clear Channel, not by Outfront, that one would come down. The one sign that's at the market across from QT would become a digital board that would be what they call a flag, where the pole will be moved to the back. And then on the one by Fountain Drive and East Side Medical Center, is that the South Campus? Is that what they call it? South Campus. Only for the time being, one face there, the opposite of where the countdown timer for the emergency room. I think everyone's got a hot and cold buffet or something like that right now. That one side would be electronic message board, but they do get to reserve the option of having the other side be an electronic message board down the road. But right now they're in a long-time contract, and I'll leave it alone. So, do you have any questions on that right now? Okay, thank you.
Great. Thank you, Chuck.
Huge improvement.
Yes. So I guess if you guys can read through this, if you have any questions or comments, just refer them to Chuck about a week. Does that give everybody enough time to look at it? So we can keep that moving along. Item C, discussion of litter. Gretchen and Dave.
Okay, you have 3 pieces here. Snellville Clean and Proud is an umbrella that I've tried to get off the ground a couple of times and haven't gotten anywhere, so I think we need to figure out a way to get this to happen. And an integral part of this is an Adopt a Road program which goes through Gwinnett Clean and Beautiful. And they supply various items for anybody who adopts a road, and that all is in here. This is right off of their website. So that would be one aspect of it. And I've listed what I've seen, and there may be others we want to add to it, to have individual initiatives underneath this umbrella. And I think the city needs to adopt a road and be a player in it. I'd like to get, I was hoping the youth commission would go out and try to sell the concept to people. Hi, we're young, we're doing this, why don't you do it? But that never got off the ground. So I think we need to see about encouraging people to adopt a road. I think we can do some educational programs in terms of the effects of litter, and people think, what difference does it make? It's one little piece here, one little piece there. I think we need to show them, well, here's one little piece filled up 3 bags, and let them know the injurious effect it has, and building awareness, and something else. And this is maybe a little bit edgy, but volunteer opportunities to clean up private properties of people unable to do it themselves. And I've spoken with Jason a couple of times when something comes up. Some people just can't do it. They can't afford to pay for it. they're not physically able to do it or whatever, and rather than just give them a ticket or we're gonna cite you, because that gets them all upset. Well, I can't do this. And there was one about 5 years ago now, Bobby Howard and I and Matt Zarek went over and cleaned up this woman's property. That it was an older couple, and I think he was in a wheelchair or whatever.
Well, it was illness. It was like, I think he had suddenly gotten ill or
Yeah,
something. They couldn't
But,
keep up.
but you know, I think it gives you another option to tell people that if you can't do it, we can get you some help. Just as all part of the cleanup. Litter pickup at Briscoe Park. And I think, you know, it might not be a bad idea to sponsor some litter bag stations. And if we have a receptacle here, put up a little container or whatever, a pole with some bags in it where you can go over, there's some litter, grocery bags. You know, pick up some, put it in a container. You know, if we make it easy, people will tend more to do it. And then coordinating with Public Works, because they also do some litter pickup. So maybe we can take some of the load off of them, or don't say, okay, we're gonna go out and clean up Oak Road when they've already been through it. You just coordinate that. So I just wanted to lay that out there and get anybody's thoughts and see how we can implement it.
Well, I think it's badly needed. I didn't really realize Dave had done this much work on it, and for some reason in the last couple of weeks or so, I just started noticing the amount of litter.
Tanglewood's terrible. Especially by 2027, I don't know what.
Really? Yeah.
Well, I'm the same way, Gretchen. I don't know if it's because it's winter time and everything's died back, so it's all more visible.
Right.
That's part
Or
of
if
it.
But
there's
it
just
just
more out there.
gets to be trashy looking, and I don't want the city to get to look like that. And so I love the idea of us trying to start this campaign, and maybe if we can get some people to organize their own neighborhoods or whatever, I think that would be
Sometimes it's just the
terrific.
focus. People say, boy, why doesn't somebody pick up the litter? And you can say, okay, there's your opportunity.
Well, I do on Tanglewood. Usually I do it Mondays. I did it today. I'll take a grocery bag with me, and what I often pick up this is one of my pet peeves, is all the AJC newspapers that wind up, they're laying in the streets and the gutters.
Our attorneys are working on that.
That is just so annoying to me. I mean, they don't even half the time get them in the driveways.
Yeah.
They're laying in the
Coupons.
streets.
A coupon packet.
And so I often take a grocery bag with me Mondays, and I just pick up, and, you know, then people don't, this I don't understand, when people bring their garbage can out to the street, and that newspaper's lying there 4 feet from their garbage
Yeah.
can, and they leave it. And then they drive over it for about 2 weeks, and it's, you know,
Yeah,
I
and then it
just.
rains and it gets mushy. Yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, I think it'd be nice if we could maybe try to get some people to do some organization within their own neighborhoods too. But then I like the idea of us adopting a street, whether it be Oak Road or.
Yeah, now the only thing with adopt a road is it's gotta be a mile. You have to adopt it. According to, which isn't to say we can't do that, if it's a short street, we could do it as a clean and proud project as opposed to clean and beautiful.
Okay,
But in order to get the help from clean and beautiful, it has to
we
be,
need a mile.
it's 1 mile, you do it 4 times a year.
North would be a good one. North is pretty bad.
Well, and I'd like to see too, in the budgeting process, that we go ahead and put a line item or increase for community service workers or
Well,
prison help.
It's been on my list. We discussed this not at this past retreat, but the one before that. And so for the 20 budget, I put some money in there for a jail crew. But we need to coordinate it, because if we've got, if we have 10 groups volunteering, and I can tell you that this is a new community service project that I think the Gwinnett Sunrise Rotary Club will jump on and do. But if we get, we just need to coordinate where we send those
Yeah. jail
crews. So
Now, does Gwinnett Clean and Beautiful purchase any other supplies other than bags, like gloves or?
Yeah, they provide gloves. There's a list in here of what they provide
Oh.
vests as well.
Vests,
But
good,
you have to
good.
return the vests. And they're not that expensive. We might get some for the city
Yeah.
and loan them out too. And if somebody walks off with one, it's not that big a deal. But you can see, they take it pretty seriously because you go through all of this and,
Then on the back of the vest, we can say my attorney was Tony Powell.
yeah,
Sell advertising.
that's right, that's right.
That's why I'm out here walking the street.
Go to Powell and Edwards with this review.
You're a loser. I'm not paying for that.
But you can-
Alan Edwards is cleaning up.
But you can see here, there's an adopt a road agreement, and then there's a post cleanup form. So it's not just a matter of, oh yeah, we're gonna do it, and then nobody does anything, which is certainly an option, but then you'll do it one time, and then they'll cut you loose. So you can read over this and see what's involved, because that's the whole clean and beautiful program.
And what I didn't realize that you told me was that Chad
Livesey.
Livesey has moved to
Yeah.
Atlanta. He
Yeah.
was providing some leadership in the
Yeah, and I
South
spoke
area.
with, he and I got together a couple of times trying to put something together, and I thought, he's gotta drive out from Atlanta.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it's just, and I'm sure he'll say, yeah, I'll come out and do it, but I didn't wanna make him a focal point of it, because it's not fair. He'll do whatever he can,
And
but
he's mostly interested in the
the south side.
south
Yeah.
side, outside of Snellville city limits.
Yeah, yeah, but, and apparently Tree Lane's another biggie,
That's what I've,
yeah, so, and we might be able to get some volunteers through the hospital. Yeah, there's,
Well, I would say keep working on this, get it honed down and figure out what we would need as far as maybe supplies or something that the city could provide.
okay,
And then sit down with Brian and start getting, putting together a little marketing campaign on how to get the publicity out there and then
Right.
get people signed up to do things.
okay, and anybody has any ideas? Let me
Yeah.
know.
I think it's great.
When you get ready to, we could circulate it to the high schools, because a lot of clubs are always looking for
Yeah,
service
great.
projects.
Well, a lot of the churches too, they may
Right.
have youth groups that need service hours too.
For sure.
okay.
good deal.
Very good. Okay, Arts Commission.
You need artistes.
We had, last fall, we kind of put the Arts Commission on hiatus, and we haven't done a tremendous amount of effort on it yet, but Dave did go through an ordinance, Duluth ordinance, and kind of went through and updated a little bit of theirs, a little bit more, but I think we need to work some more on
I think we have
it.
a little bit different situation, and I sent it, and Butch saw a copy of it and had some suggestions. So at this point, we're just looking for suggestions on what to do. The Duluth model is one where it's just a recommending body. And they went through the same thing we did. We have an arts commission, and they get so busy being artists that they don't get anything done. So this is essentially their model is you get a commission together, and they research possibilities, make recommendations. If there's any money spent, the council approves it. And the Arts Commission itself doesn't raise any money to self-fund because they're just recommending. And it's, one of the problems we had is, hey, we're gonna have this program and we're gonna raise $500, it's only gonna cost us $1,000 to put it on. So,
And then they decide not to do
And
it.
it wasn't even that good.
yeah.
You have to.
So I think this will, and this gives us the opportunity to get more business-oriented people involved, where if they have an appreciation for the arts and they want to see some more of it, they can say, well, you know what you ought to do, and I know a guy or whatever to do that. I mean, maybe you guys all go to the Aurora, maybe they would want to come down and put one on here.
Wouldn't that be great?
They probably not, but you don't know
Yeah,
if
they
you don't
probably
ask.
wouldn't, but,
Yeah,
because we don't.
And those funds really, we had a lot of audit issues. Those funds really need to be separate from the city. And, whether it's the community foundation or, there are other options there. So, a recommendatory body that believes in public art and, along with a master plan for
Yeah.
public art, those are great things.
Because I encourage y'all to look at Duluth's website. On there, they have they did a master plan for their art, their whole art thing. I mean, Mayor
Yes.
Harris said they spent $20,000 or $30,000 on this study and this plan. I'm not sure, I'm leaning towards that, but it was a whole big, here's our 8 policies regarding art, you know, and all the different facets of it and what they wanted Duluth to be known for when it came to art. And so, I mean, it was a comprehensive study. Of course, they did community outreach and all of that. And then, so I think it was probably a really good process, but like I said, I'm
Yeah.
not sure I'm ready to spend
And one of the
$30,000
things they
for
do
it.
is when people come for new construction, their planning commission encourages them to donate 1% for the purchase of art.
That is something that was intriguing, that it's part of their development process, that when a developer comes in and wants to do something, that they actually sit down with either a member of the Arts Commission at the same time, and they talk about how important art is, you know, to the cultural community, and how important it is, and we'd like you to do 1% of your cost into this art fund. And then they use that fund then to help buy sculpture or do whatever art things in the city. So that's another way to be able to raise those funds. And if we did it through a nonprofit like the Community Foundation, then that contribution would be tax deductible for them as well.
It's a good idea.
So
And they say,
Is it mandatory?
no,
it's
they
not
encourage it.
mandatory, but they do
Yeah.
sell them on it.
And it's just something, if you don't bring it up, you never know.
And it's not something you could just put a check, you know, an item on a list. Somebody's got to sit down and explain it all. You know what I mean? There's got to be a little sales pitch to it too.
Austin, you're up.
So, just some more things to think about, but anybody who wants to help engage in this process, we love the help. So we can try to keep this moving along. Okay, Butch, projects.
Let's see, the first one, we have been working on updating some budget numbers on a lot of balls in the air. One of those is a sewer project that we've come up with a budget number that will take care of the north side of Wisteria, which fits right in the proposed budget that we had. We also received an updated number on stormwater improvements for the area, which is a little higher than what we were budgeting for. So we'll continue to update those, but we do have, we are having an executive session. I have one short update to give you there on property acquisition. Plan and design work. We wanted Paul to come to kind of give you a review of what was going up on the northwest corner of the building where we were there. TSW has had another design meeting, schematic design meeting with the county, and things are going very good there. Copacetic is the word I use, so we've got them going in the right direction. Zoning and area development, once again, we've got working with Caleb, continuing to make progress on the UDO. Pond is still working on the stormwater aspects of the plan. And precision planning, one thing that I meant to mention when they were here, they're also working on the connections that we talked about between North and 124. We're meeting Friday on some preliminary designs that they have, and so that would be basically expanding the roundabouts to the south on North, maybe at Dogwood, and maybe another connection where the light comes out on 124. So there's a little bit of an environmental issue in that second one, but we'll bring something back to you shortly on that. Another meeting on city marketing. We had a very good meeting. Kelly McAloon went with us to meet with Lisa and Victoria at Explore Gwinnett to make sure we all start off on the same page. I think we're off to a good start there, and we'll just continue that coordination. UDO, as I said, it's moving along. Roundabout construction, once again, we have very little to do, but I'm hoping that the weather cooperates and we can get things marked at North. I think the function of the roadway has greatly improved. I think it works very well.
It does.
We've just got to get the other one started. We have a little executive session item on that, and we'll give you an update on that timeline there. So, but it's going to be nice when it finally gets done. 78 and 124. Eric attended a meeting last week with Pittman, and they put together some notes on it, and I just highlighted a couple of areas. One of their subs will begin drilling the footings for the overhead structure. That's the columns that will go on the the southeast and the northwest corners for the signal bridge. So they're starting to do that, and they say the actual structure will be erected sometimes in May. So we should have our columns with our signage on it in May. The signal bridge will not be there. There'll still be a temporary light, but at least things are moving there. And also another sub has erected the temporary signal, waiting on power. This is something that we'll have to get the information out to the public. And they're working with the county. The county handles all signalization throughout the county. And the temp signal will be activated once the power is there. And the existing signals will come down. So that's going to be a process. I hope that happens at night or on a weekend. We'll keep you updated on there. But they've got a lot of utility work yet to do. They're going to be working in front of back in front of the Methodist Church. And so, and then they'll start on the other side, the west side of 78, off the traveling roadway. So we'll keep you updated on that.
They also, Butch said that Pate Road would be closed. What was the date, Brian? I said
February
6th or 7th?
Or the 6th, I think it's the 6th.
6th, so Pate Road will be closed for a short period of time in there somewhere while they're doing, I can't remember what he said they would do, but they would have to close that.
Okay.
Pate Road.
What does Pate Road have to do with
That's that
the middle
one of those little
the
pieces.
78 124 in
It's
it?
one of those little pieces down there near the Vision Center, I think.
Oh,
Talking
okay.
about
No,
off
wait,
of,
no, that's not.
Flower?
Flower?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, we thought we were talking about by the middle
Oh.
school, but I know
Yeah.
what you're talking
By the-
about
At
now.
Pate Drive.
Dermatologist.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
there's a
The
Pate
cut
Drive.
through I used to
Yeah.
get to Brand Bank.
Yeah, okay, never mind.
Yes.
That's
I was thinking about the middle school too.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Pate Road.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like,
By
why are
the
they closing
dermatologist.
that?
Pate is kind of disjointed, that's for sure.
Okay.
Really, no change on the SDS negotiations. SPLOST program, really not an update there. Budget and planning, all the salary reviews are underway, working on the FY20 budget. The computer system Encode will be open on February 1st for departments to start inputting their requests. Comp plan progress, I guess we should have a final document, Jason, sometime in the next couple of weeks.
I gotta send you a few.
And, yeah, we didn't receive any comments,
I
so.
know, I have them.
And,
You did such a good job.
ordinance development, Chuck and Tony have been hard at work on these election issues and working on all the language, and as well as the referendum for the Sunday sales, the brunch sales, so.
Thank you, Butch. And then, did everybody get this email for the chamber dinner this week,
Yes.
Friday night?
I think I gave everybody an update
I got
for
that.
just basic information
Yeah.
for parking, and pretty stiff valet charge, $25 for valet
The
parking.
parking one, last time I went to something, they have the park in the lot and they have a bus that runs you over.
Yeah.
It- Yeah, and the bus came right by
Yeah.
where we parked.
Yeah.
with all the construction going on, it's a little bit of a mess, but just get there early if you can.
So if anybody wants to carpool, just, you know, work that out, okay? It's 7:15. Do we have time to get started for an exec session? All right. During the work session of the mayor and city council